The biggest reason most meal plans fail for South Asians is because they're confused, unrealistic, and frankly boring. I've spent the last 5 years helping over 2,500 South Asians achieve amazing results by getting meal plans easy, tasty, and realistic. Today, I'll be dispelling common myths keeping you stuck and providing you with a stress-free 1,500 calorie South Asian meal plan so you can finally see fatless results whilst enjoying every single bite. Let's dive in. Problem number 1. Meal plans are so repetitive. Let's be honest, consistency gets a bad rap. People say, Nathan, it's so boring to eat the same food, same ingredients, it's like Groundhog Day. And you're probably thinking, meal plans are just repetitive. I just don't want to eat the same stuff over and over and again. And I get it. It feels like you're giving up variety, fun, spontaneity, and everything that makes life exciting. But here's the twist. Boring, repetitive, and consistent are basically cousins. And most people confuse the three. Because what you're calling boring might actually be the very thing that's stopping you from getting results. Let me tell you about Siraj. Siraj came in frustrated. He was working long hours in tech, eating everything he could grab, trying different workouts, but nothing stuck. He was tired of the noise, the constant decision fatigue, so we just grabbed something simple. We gave him a plan with 2 breakfast options, 2 lunch options, 2 dinner options, and 2 snacks. And every 10 days, we swapped just 1 or 2 of them out, the same calories, same structure, but just enough novelty to keep it fresh, and just enough consistency to stay on track. Because that's the thing. If you're always chasing excitement with food, you're always going to keep chasing those results too. Repetition builds habit, and consistency builds your new body. So imagine this, brushing your teeth, for example. Would you call brushing your teeth twice a day boring? Probably. But do you skip it because of that? No. Do you do it because you know it works? Yes. Meal plans are no different, but they don't have to feel restrictive. So instead of 27 Pinterest recipes that makes you want to scream and have every different flavor underneath the sun and a party every day in your mouth, you need to get a structure. Something with simple and sustainable swaps that keeps things without blowing up your kitchen routine. No chaos, no diet drama. People say meal plans are too restrictive, but what is really restrictive is spinning your wheels for another 6 months without results. Siraj didn't do anything extreme. He just stuck with the plan. He learned to embrace that what felt boring was actually effective, and now he's leaner, more energized, and in full control, and has different variety in food, just not as much as he did before. So next time you catch yourself saying this is boring, ask instead, is it boring or is it working? There'll be an absolute difference between you believing something is boring versus not exciting enough. Because if you're so used to having different foods every single day, you're so used to having novelty and looking forward to a meal, then that process of food masturbation, where you're excited about what dinner's going to be, that then dissipates because you've got a plan in place. And sometimes it's not that the food is boring, it's that you don't get that food masturbation in your brain and that excitement, which often causes poor decision making, overconsumption of food, and is not really necessary majority of the time. Especially Monday to Friday, when you're trying to optimize for time, efficiency, speed, and getting the right level of nutrition for your goals, it's not always great to spend an hour making a separate meal just because it's enjoyable. Enjoyment and excitement from food is a valuable part of psychology, but if your whole food routine relies on it, I think that's where the community needs to change their tune on what's really effective and what's going to build a rhythm and a routine versus what is just done within the community. Food is everything. It's excitement, it's happiness, it's boredom, it's for the good times, the bad times, the negative times, and food has become this one thing for the South Asian community that brings everyone together. And often it is overexciting because that is the major premise. So then when you go on something that is more structured, more organized, more prepared, more thought out, you feel like you're missing a leg because you've had food as something that it kind of isn't. Food is for fuel. It keeps you alive, it keeps you from dying, and it improves you, and it gets some type of psychology from a dopamine perspective. But it shouldn't just be all about the dopamine and all about, oh my God, this meal is amazing. It should be about function as well. So finding that blend by creating a structure and making it less exciting and a little bit more boring might actually help you build a rhythm and a routine, with the real consequences of getting great results is rhythms, routines, and sustainability in a repeatable pattern. All of the R's. But have you ever heard, oh, a meal plan is so restrictive, I just could never follow one of those? That's problem number 2 when it comes to meal plans, is going to be the restrictive nature of a meal plan. Imagine only being able to eat 4 meals a day and the same ones over and over again. Could you eat the same foods every single day and say no to anything else? Walking down the grocery aisle thinking, nope, I can't have that. I can't have this. Nathan, would you like some extra cheese? No, thank you. It's not on my meal plan. There's an unwritten rule with meal plans that need to be addressed. It's about if it's not on the plan, you're not eating it. And therefore, anything that's not on the plan, even if it has equated calories or better nutrition, it's simply not allowed because it's not on the plan. This restrictive approach can make people feel bad from eating other food, a sin, cheating. These foods are good, the other foods are bad. And over time, this mindset of what good and bad is a really hard one to retrain and get out of your system if you want a sustainable lifestyle in the long term. You don't want to be 70 years old looking in the grocery store going, this is bad, this is good. Because imagine the lesson that you're giving to your children and the people around you, especially where your relationship with this meal plan comes from. But there's actually a super psychological, powerful benefit of having a meal plan that most people don't speak about, that maximize time, effort and results. Is actually the restrictive nature of a meal plan is the best part about a meal plan. But let me explain it from a dating analogy perspective. The problem with modern dating is that there are too many options with not enough commitment and choices. So you can go on a date on a Monday night, and if she's not a 10 out of 10, then you'll just move on to the next one. Or you might go on a date with somebody and get 10 dates in, but there might just be something on the other side that's a little bit better, so you don't commit fully. And then you're chopping and changing between your choices of dating. Is it Sally, Debbie, Amrit, Shilpa, Sheila? Who's it going to be this week? Without a full committal lifestyle. Whereas arranged marriages, or like my mum and dad, they just got together and made it work. They got together, ignored each other's differences, hashed it out a few times, and there was no option to back out because they'd been married now for 35, 40 years. They made it work. And that's what happens with meal plans and choices. Most people who don't have a meal plan have a choice problem. So they track their nutrition, or they might just say, oh, if this is healthy, this is healthy, this is healthy, I'll just choose one of those. But then the more choices that you have, the more mistakes you're given. The biggest psychological part is not giving yourself lots of options to choose from, because options create overwhelm. But overwhelm is lots of decisions, is a lot of things to do with a lack of priorities. And that's how overwhelm happens with food, is because I could have a biscuit, I could have a sandwich, I could have a chicken breast, I could have a salad, I could have a burger, and then before you know it, you're undecided of what you're going to have, and you wait till last minute, and then you go for the fast, easy option, which is normally the shitter option. So by actually using a meal plan to narrow down psychologically, this helps you immensely be the dieter you need to be. It doesn't mean eat the same foods for the 7 days. It doesn't mean do the same thing every single day. It just means don't allow your psychology to rule you and put you in a worse position. There's research, and I found this when I was in Amsterdam. I was in one of those skeleton museums, and it was telling me that if you give someone 12 to 13 choices of a chocolate or a sweet, or 12 different things that are potentially healthy, not healthy, the more options you gave a person during the studies, the more they would choose the wrong ones. If you gave somebody 4 things to choose from, they would choose the right thing. And then it expanded to 6, 9, 12, 15, and the more choices they had, the more poorer options they made. Let me give you another example of why you want to narrow down your choices in your meal plan that you might be feeling are restrictive. If you take a kid to a grocery store and you stand in front of the sweet aisle, the whole aisle's there, the strawberry laces, the Haribos, the cereal, well, not that they're in the same aisle, but you get what I mean. There's a whole lot of extras that they could go and eat, and you say, Jimmy, that's the name of my dog, but we'll keep it as my kid for now. Jimmy, go and pick your favorite sweet, do what you want to do and bring it back. Firstly, he's going to be down that aisle going, oh, don't know which one to have, ooh. Then you've given him the sweet aisle to go from. But let me take you another example, is if you just took Jimmy to any aisle and said, hey Jimmy, would you like a banana or would you like an apple? And you gave him 2 choices, this or that. Then you would get a faster response, you would get a better decision because you've placed apples and oranges in front of him, and you wouldn't then need to deal with the up and down running around. I want 2 sweets, I want 3 sweets, I want to have this one, but I don't want to give up this one. You psychologically move him past the decision of choice. And that also increases the efficiency of the decision. So what I'm trying to get at is that actually by using a meal plan with smaller choice mechanisms, you can help yourself stay on a diet for longer because you're not death by options, death by choices, non-committal, staying on Tinder, swiping, and actually getting to results which comes at where your psychology and your structure are aligned and you're sticking to the plan as much as you can do. And this is the real power of a meal plan because it stops you sabotaging, and it's called decision fatigue. So in humans, we have a certain amount of decisions that we can make on a day-to-day basis. And that comes from every decision from what watch I wear, to what t-shirt I wear, to what I'm eating for breakfast, to which route I'll take on the drive home, or which Uber will I get, or what corporate gig am I going to, how many nutrition programs am I writing for clients today, how my team are doing. All decisions are in this metric. Now, as you go through your day, you chop off these decisions and you fatigue fatigue in emotional and physical decision making. So the more options and the more decisions you give yourself, the more rope you hang yourself on. You know as well as I do, the worst time that you make a decision and I make a decision is right before bed. Now, what's happened in the day? You've had all of these decisions, you've had all of these responsibilities, and then you get to the end of the day and you just don't want to make another one. You've played the emotional tax, the psychological tax, and you now have to make a decision around what you should have before bed that's healthy, low calorie and nutritious. When someone's presented chevro or a pav bhaji in your face, you're not going to make a great decision because of all those decisions that you make. So the key is to look at through your day and look at how many decisions you can take away so that you can save enough non-fatigue for those latter parts of the day. And that's where the meal plans come in, where you then have already took away 80 decisions that you're making on a day-to-day basis. Think about this. If you've already set what breakfast you're having, if you already set what lunch you're having, if you already set what dinner you're having, and you've already set what snack you're having, and maybe you've done some prep work so they're ready for you, that may be about 12 decisions across the day. They're not including the other 20 that you don't see, which is that, shall I have a cookie? Deborah's asked me if I want a biscuit. And you've said no to all of these decisions. So there's over 35 decisions you've had to make in a day that you didn't even realize you were making. That's contributed to you fucking up in the nighttime around your food intake because you just can't be asked to say no, or your disciplines ran out. And all of these 35 decisions that you've just saved on your fatigue will be able to be saved later on in the day to get the results and actually say no when the time is right. And that's why I love a meal plan. I don't do a restrictive meal plan. I don't do a boring meal plan. I just do a meal plan because a meal plan creates psychological success. So you want to run 3 different plans on a meal plan. You want to do plan A, plan B, and plan Z. So plan A is where you have 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, 1 dinner, 1 snack. And B is the same, 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, 1 dinner, and 1 snack. And then you alternate between the two when you get a little bit bored. Monday, Tuesday, you do plan A. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you do plan B. And then back to plan A on another day, and then you flip between the variations so you reduce your boredom. Alongside that, you review them over a 7 to 14 day period, and then you change 1 to 2 variables, not too many, 1 to 2 variables, and you don't change them on the day. You change them the day before so that you don't get caught in that decision fatigue of, I'll change my meal plan today. Then the last plan that you want to have is the I fucked it plan. Very, very essential. This is the one where it's emergency plans only. So you've dug out your homework, you've out on a work trip and you forgot your meal prep, and you want to have something where if all fails, you have a plan. If you ever think about what anxiety is the fearfulness of the future. And to be able to not be fearful of the future, you need to create a plan for it today. And that's how people go wrong. They don't predict that it's not going to go well. And I'm a terrible person. I always predict it's going to go badly, but I also have a great plan for when it does go badly. Like, for example, I'm sitting in West Palm Beach in Florida, recording this in a spooky ass podcast studio, and I know that down the street there is a place that I can go and get breakfast, and then there's a place down the street that I can go and get lunch. But I also have seen on my Deliveroo app there is Target, I can get some food around the corner. I've also got a fridge full of food. So wherever I'm going, I'm not gonna fuck up because I predicted my A plan, which is the yogurt, the chicken, the food that's in my place that I've already got this morning from Target. My B plan is that I've got Uber Eats options and restaurants around the corner that I've already chosen. And then my Z plan is that I'm just going to go to 7-Eleven and buy protein bars, and I will then make it home later to make a meal later. And I've got the plan. So how do I make it to McDonald's? I don't, because I've got 3 other options before I get to McDonald's, which will survive in all mechanisms. And that's why plan A, plan B, and plan Z is so important to creating your structure and having that fail-safe of plan Z. And once you have these meal plans, you'll be super happy forever. Did you say forever? Does that mean I have to do it forever? And that brings me on to problem number 3. And problem number 3 is that people don't think you do it after a diet at all. And when they stop the meal plan, they get fatter. So imagine finding the winning solution to being in shape forever. Imagine being on cloud 9 with the results that you've got and you're looking amazing, you're wearing your bikini in the snow, you're flexing in the mirror, you're super happy, super self-confident. And what happens if you were controlled, organized, structured with your meals and looking amazing and feel great, and your psychology is feeling as good as your body? And then you just pull the rug on everything that you've just built there over time. I'd say that's pretty risky and a easy way to gain your weight back. You go from organization, structure, feeling good, to no organization, no structure. All the things that made you fat in the first place, you're going to go back to. It just means that you're not going to keep your results forever. Meal plans are forever. They're just not the same as when you're dieting. If you took out the word meal plan and you put in the word good planning, good organization, good preparation, good structure, good goal-driven efforts, and an easy way to do hard things. Good removal of decision fatigue, which lowers low discipline and emotional eating. And they're all pretty cool concepts to have within your day-to-day structure, right? And it would be much harder to stay in shape without them, right? So those good things are what are needed to stay in shape forever, not the meal plan. And this is how we transitioned Letitia, who lost 20 kilos with us, from a short-term meal planner to a forever meal planner. So we moved to Monday to Friday meal structures, and weekends we had the breakfast, and the rest of the day was left for socials and eating out. We found 3 to 4 different breakfasts, lunches, snacks and dinners that we worked on, and then we used those and taught her how to change them if she wanted to change them for something that hit the same calories or macros. We used Sundays to plan the week ahead with grocery lists, recipes, and any prep work ahead to make it easier for the week ahead. And the average American or Westernized South Asian only uses about 23 to 25 ingredients on a week-to-week basis. And that's even when their food are not great and you're overweight. That's even when you're not in shape. So we found Letitia's 23 to 25 different food sources that she would have on a week-to-week basis, and we just made meal plans out of those. And most importantly, that allowed her to stay in shape forever because she had these iteration process. The iteration was that she would do her meal planning, meal structuring, and all her organization things on a Sunday. She would then do her prep work from Monday to Friday, with the decisions being less. She would run on autopilot from Monday to Friday, and on the weekends, on Saturday, she would have a little bit more social flexibility, and then she'd loop that system round and round again. That's how you create meal plans forever. Good organization, good structure, reduction of decision fatigue, reduction of emotional decisions, and then a format for you to change and tweak the meal plan so that you don't get bored, you don't feel too restrictive, and you get to live life with food differences, food changes, and choices that align to your taste buds at that moment in time. It's now time to give you that 1500 calorie South Asian meal plan. The reason why we went through the boring, the restrictive, and the not forever is because I don't want you to use the meal plan if you're planning on using it short term, you're planning on complaining about being restrictive, and you're planning on complaining about it being boring. This video should have explained the nuances and the benefits to making these subtle changes to be in a meal plan that gets great results. So you can click the link in the description to get your 1500 calorie 7-day example South Asian meal plan and start getting results the right way. And if you want to watch one of our podcasts with one of our clients who ate South Asian food throughout, lives in the UK, climbed Kilimanjaro, you probably want to click here somewhere. It'll be Broma, and she's great.